The time has finally come where we have an Embraer E2 aircraft model in scale 500 with an actual airline livery. And thanks to the great prices of the FMB shop, we can together take a closer look at this highly anticipated model. And with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at an Embraer ERJ-195-E2 of KLM. At the front of the box we have a cutout so we can get a glimpse of the aircraft model inside, and on top of the box we have the KLM and SkyTeam branding. The backside of the box is a massive letdown, but what I can tell you is, never mind, because the model inside is really good, so let's not waste more time on this awful box and let's take a closer look at the model. And here she is, the Embraer ERJ-195-E2 in the standard livery of KLM, or if we want to be really precise, of KLM Cityhopper. Now, the aircraft this model is based upon was the very first Embraer ERJ-195-E2 in the KLM Cityhopper fleet. It was also the very first Embraer E2 ever to land in Billund Airport. I was lucky to catch it back in the day. But one thing I found out when looking into this aircraft was that since December 2022 it has been marked as parked. Maybe someone from KLM or someone who knows the airline very well can let us know in the comment section below what's up with that. But let's now focus on the aircraft model itself to see what it has to offer. And in order to do so, we start our tour around the aircraft model with a look at the tail section, where we on the vertical stabilizer have the KLM branding. On the fuselage we then have the full registration code of the aircraft, the Dutch flag, the flag of the European Union, and next to the cabin door we also have the aircraft type specification. But you will notice that the writing and the Dutch flag, well, is grey, and it should be white. What Herpa has done here is simply being lazy. They have only printed the white color once. If they had done it twice, it would have covered the blue color underneath, and it would not have appeared grey. What should be grey, or rather metallic, and it is the APU exhaust, which we can find here at the very tail of the aircraft. At the front of the aircraft and across the fuselage we then find the KLM Cityhopper branding, and next to the cabin door and behind the cockpit windows we also have the SkyTeam logos, of which KLM of course is a founding member, and underneath the cockpit windows we then also find the Air France KLM Group logo. And while the real aircraft doesn't have any static ports around here, or at least none visible, Herpa could still have added some markings here instead, since they didn't have to add the static ports. This leads us to the cockpit section itself, where we find the cockpit windows and the window wipers have been printed on. And above the cockpit windows we also have the last two letters of the registration code. And then we can also take a quick look at the engine nacelles, which have been kept in all white, just as the belly of the aircraft. Here we have the silver leading edge printed on and a few safety relevant markings, and the KLM branding once more. The physical detailing of the engines is also really lovely in my opinion, especially here from the front, where we very nicely can see the engine fan blades. And on the fuselage, just above the wings, we then have the emergency exits printed on, which leads us straight to the wings, which we should definitely also take a closer look at. Starting off with the top side, where we can see the different flaps, slats and spoilers have been carved out very nicely. We have the markings for the emergency exits printed on as well. And on the underside we also have some nice physical detailing and find the full registration code of the aircraft once again. A major highlight on the aircraft model is for sure the landing gear, and specifically the main landing gear, where Herpa has very nicely replicated this rather uniquely angled wheel mount, let's call it like that. But also the front landing gear looks very nice, but here I am unfortunately missing some printed details. And then last but not least, we do also have some doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the back of the aircraft, and also here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Embraer ERJ-195-E2 in the standard livery of KLM or KLM Cityhopper in scale 1 to 500 from Herpa Wings. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Herpa is doing really well with the E2 in scale 500. I mentioned it with my very first E2 review of the Profit Hunter. If you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend you to do so. It should pop up in the top right corner, or you can find a link in the video description down below. But I think Herpa is cutting a little bit corners with this model. I mean, Herpa has created a lovely aircraft model here when we only look at the physical detailing. The mold of the E2 from Herpa Wings in scale 500 is brilliant, but I also see them cutting corners or costs on this aircraft model when it comes to the print. The fact that the registration code of the Dutch flag and the back of the aircraft is grey and not white as it should be is simply because they were too lazy to really add enough white print on the aircraft model. And while the aircraft in real life doesn't have many visible static ports and stuff like that, which Herpa normally would add in their additional printed details, since they didn't have to add that, there are other visible markings on the aircraft in real life that they could have replicated in the print, and they chose not to. But okay, I also want to be fair, if you look at the back of the aircraft, underneath the horizontal stabilizer, that did add this little hatch here, which is kind of nice. But my point is, because of the aircraft type, there were some details that they usually would add that they didn't have to add here, so they could have added other stuff which they then didn't, which is a bit disappointing. Still, it is overall a very lovely aircraft from Herpa Wings, and I would say it's very much an aircraft worth having in one's collection. And Herpa, there's no excuse not to make the 190 E2 or 175 E2. But that's a topic for another video. Now with that, we have reached the end of today's video. If you have enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like, and of course if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. With that, thank you very much for watching, hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.